DV Drive allows you to drive pretty much any of the static vehicles that are in Derail Valley. And in order to do so, all you need to do is, with the mod running of course, hover over any of the static vehicles. And if they're available to drive, you'll see this message: press F7 to drive. The F7 of course is the default keybind, which can be changed in settings, and we'll be looking at how to do all of that later. But in the meantime, for this tutorial, we'll just be mentioning the default keybinds. Now, if a vehicle is unable to be driven, such as for instance these wrecks over here, then when you hover over them, you're going to see this message instead, saying this vehicle unavailable to drive. Another type of vehicle that is unavailable to drive are long semi-trailers like you see here. Unfortunately, they're just too big to fit on Derail Valley's roads, and they can't be decoupled successfully. However, shorter semi-trailers, as can be seen here, can often be driven, but it will only be the prime mover. The trailer itself will not be attached. Also, please note that it's only static vehicles that you can take command of. If you see any DV road traffic vehicles, they're unavailable to be driven, as they're already being driven by DV road traffic. So when you hover over those, you're not going to see any offer to press F7 to drive. So once you've selected a vehicle to drive, it's simply a matter of pressing the activation key, F7 in this case, and that will bring up your driving UI. Let's take a minute to familiarise ourselves with the driving UI. Firstly, the UI itself can be shown or hidden simply by pressing that activation key again. As can be seen down in the bottom here, where it says press F7 to hide show controls. So if we press F7 now, the UI goes away. If we press F7 again, it comes back into play. The UI is split into several distinct areas. The first area here is where your speed and heading are displayed. The second area is this area here, the camera mode area, which allows you to select a couple of different camera views, as well as being able to adjust those cameras and also affecting the stabilization of the camera. We'll be seeing those later on. The third area is this section here, which is the driving controls. That's what allows you to move forward, back, left, right, play the horn, or turn on or off the headlights. And finally is this status area down the bottom. The status area will advise you as to what options are available to you depending on where you are within the UI at the time. So another thing to mention about the driving UI is that default keybinds are shown if you hover over the respective buttons. So for instance, for the drive forward key, if we hover over that, we can see down in the status area, it advises us that the forward key is currently bound to the up arrow key. Also displays the keybinds for the hide and show of the UI, as well as the keybind to exit driving mode. Now the UI can be easily moved if it blocks your or obstructs your view, and that's simply by a matter of dragging it into any desired area you would like it to be. Once you stop dragging it, not only will the UI remain in place for this session, it will also be sticky for the next session. So at any stage when you come back into DV Drive, the driving UI will remain in the location you last left it at. If you need to, you can always reset that back in settings. We'll be looking at that when we look at settings later on. Let's exit driving mode now. So we can do that by pressing currently Alt X. Once we do that, we can see the vehicle remains exactly where we left it, and we can either now select a different vehicle to drive, or we can reselect this one should we choose. Let's do that. We'll press F7 to drive, and we'll see the UI has reappeared where we last left it. Okay, let's have a look at the driving controls. They're fairly straightforward. To play the horn, just a matter of clicking that button, and to turn headlights on or off is a matter of clicking the headlights button. When the headlights are on, it displays in green. When they're off, it does not. Now, a word about headlights. DV's default static vehicles do not have individual components like wheels and headlights and all of that sort of thing. So the headlight is a simulation here, but do not expect it to appear on the vehicle itself. You're going to see the headlights will turn on, but unfortunately these components here that look like headlights are simply just a graphic, so there's no actual headlights for us to illuminate, but we're simulating headlights on the vehicles. We've looked at the horn, we've looked at the headlights. I guess the driving controls are pretty straightforward. So again, we can either activate those by clicking on the control, click that to drive forward, and click backwards to brake. If you hold it long enough, you'll move in reverse. Or alternatively, you can just use the keybinds without clicking the buttons, forwards, back. Now you'll see that once you let go of the movement key, that is the forward key as an example, the vehicle will continue driving at the speed in which it was at when you released the button. To turn, pretty obvious. To turn, just hold down the appropriate direction key and let go when you're facing the direction that you wish to go. So the direction of the left and right arrow keys can be switched for when you're driving in reverse, should you choose. Again, available in settings. Camera views. By default, when you first enter driving mode for a vehicle, you are in what we call free roam mode. In free roam mode, you have the ability of just walking around or flying, doing any of the normal activities you may do. Your camera is unaffected, so you can position yourself somewhere and still have control of your vehicle. The top section of the driving UI is dedicated to camera controls. As you can see here, there is a camera mode Free roam is the default, as mentioned before, when you first enter the vehicle, but there are two other camera modes that are supplied. These camera modes are follow, and when follow is activated, then your camera is positioned behind the vehicle and slightly above. So the pitch and the rotation of your camera view can be controlled by your mouse when you're in mouse look mode. You change between mouse look mode and cursor mode by pressing the Alt key by default. When you're in mouse look mode, then you can look around from the default position in follow mode. As you can see in follow mode, well, obviously it follows the camera and the truck. The other view is reverse mode. So when we're in reverse mode, the camera is pointed backwards from in front of the truck or vehicle, looking back at the vehicle. And again, it follows the vehicle. Now in either mode, you're also able to use the scroll wheel on your mouse to move backwards or forwards to increase or decrease the distance viewable to the vehicle. And of course, should you continue to change camera views, eventually you'll scroll back to free roam. And once more in free roam, you can walk around, fly, do all of the normal activities that you would normally do, but you're still in control of the vehicle at that stage. Okay, let's look at something else to do with the camera views. You're in follow mode, and you didn't want to go into free roam, but you wanted to maybe fly to a particular area so you can see your vehicle from another view. You can just press the F3 key like you would normally do in a train, and as you can see, you still have total control over your vehicle. And in that case, given the fact that you are still in the follow camera mode or the reverse camera mode, you can just press F1 and that will take you back into the camera view that you were in previously. Camera adjustments. So there's multiple different adjustments that we can make to either of the two camera views, follow mode or reverse mode. Firstly, let's go back into free roam mode, and you'll see under free roam mode there these buttons, the camera adjustments and the stabilized camera roll button, are unavailable. That's because they make no sense for free roam, because our mod is not controlling your camera in any way under free roam mode. But once you go into either follow mode or reverse mode, then these buttons do become available for use. So the camera adjustments are pretty straightforward. That is, they allow you to move the camera either down or up, backwards or forwards. And of course, as you can see, whilst you hold the button down, you continue moving, let it go, the camera stops. Left and right are available as well. We'll just go down for the moment and go into the cab here. Let's maybe move a little bit forward and to the left, maybe up a bit. And there's a nice cab view. We can look around in the cab, no problem at all, and we can even drive from this view, of course. Okay, now the thing is that if you exit out of follow mode at the moment, you will lose this adjustment, and that is because they're only temporary adjustments. However, if you wish to retain that so that the next time you enter into follow mode for this vehicle, for this driving session, then it's just a matter of coming up here and clicking the locked button. So the locked button will retain whatever camera settings that you have for that particular view for this vehicle for this driving session. So that means let's just jump over here to reverse. You can see it's still in the standard view. Let's make an adjustment in reverse here. Let's maybe, I don't know, just go across to the side. But in this case, we're not going to press the locked button. So what's going to happen now is that if we go back into follow mode, the follow mode view had been locked. We go into reverse mode, it goes back to the default because we didn't lock the view when we adjusted it. So just doing an adjustment is a temporary thing unless you press the locked button, in which case it will be retained next time you go into that view. Now do note that these view settings are only retained whilst we're driving the vehicle. So if we go into free roam mode, walk around and fly, that's okay. Clicking back into follow mode brings us back into whatever camera adjustment we had made if we had locked that. But if we exit driving by pressing Alt-X by default, and then we go back into the vehicle once more, then the adjustments that we had saved are now lost, and you would need to redo them should you choose to replicate that view once more. To understand the last button in the camera section, stabilize camera roll, it's best for us to be going cross country. You'll be able to see here as we move along that with stabilize camera roll off, the camera remains aligned with the roll of the vehicle itself. If, however, we turn stabilize camera roll on, then the camera remains aligned with the horizon, and we can see the vehicle tilting rather than the terrain tilting. So generally I prefer driving with stabilized camera roll on when I'm looking at an external view. But if we adjust so that we are looking from within the cab, then I find it far better to turn stabilized camera roll off We can see it looks much more natural and realistic. Having it off inside the cab compared to having it on where the cab will roll around us. Your choice. That's why we give you options. So let's look at the various options that are available, and there's many of them for DV Drive. So in order to go and look at those, open up the settings panel for UMM, Control F10 by default. Find your DV Drive mod and go and click on the settings icon. That will open up this section here. So as we can see, we start off with the main options, which is how to enter the vehicle and exit the vehicle. The keybinds can be changed here, and they can be associated also with a modifier key such as Control, Alt or Shift or any combination thereof. So for instance, to change the F7 key to say F9, it would be simply a matter of clicking here. It says press a key, you would go ahead and press the F9 key. Should you wish also to associate that with only pressing Alt F9 as an example, it's a matter of clicking the Alt modifier here, and now F9 alone will not do anything, but clicking Alt F9 would be what you would use to enter the vehicle. You'll also see that in the prompt it says now, or it reflects our new keybind, press Alt F9 to drive. Okay, we're going to restore that back to F7. Same thing for exit vehicle. The default is Alt X, but you can change that to anything you wish. In addition, we can change the background opacity for the UI. Have it solid or transparent, so that you can just see the buttons but not so much the background of the UI itself. Once again, always remember to click on Save before clicking on Close to ensure that your changes are retained for future sessions. In addition to the UI background opacity, we also have an area here where we can reset the driving UI panel, and that's just going to send it back to where it was originally, have you dragged it elsewhere. Okay, the next section is for vehicle behaviours. Here we have a number of adjustments for volumes as well as behaviour of the vehicle itself. So we have a crash volume. We'll have a look at that shortly. And then we have, importantly, some behaviours here for stop on collision. By default, we have DVRT vehicles, DV road traffic vehicles. We do not stop. That means that we can collide with them. Same thing with the train. We can collide with it as well. But anything else, we have set to stop on collision. So let's have a quick look at what that means. So if we're driving, we run into something that is not a DVRT vehicle, we have stop on collision on, then no matter what speed we were travelling, the vehicle will automatically stop at that stage, which allows you to easily back away from that obstacle and continue on. So with collisions on, that is a stop on collision being off for DV road traffic vehicles, means if we run into them, we're going to push them around and also be pushed by them. If, however, we turn those collisions, stop on collision on, and we hit a DV road traffic vehicle, same behaviour as before. That is that the DV road traffic vehicle can still push us around, but we can't continue driving into the DV road traffic vehicle. So much the same applies if a stop on collision for trains is off, and that is we will bounce off or collide with the train. Don't expect that you're going to be able to shove a train off its tracks, however. Train's usually going to win. If we set stop on collision on for trains, then, as you would expect, if we do hit the train, our vehicle is going to immediately stop. So my personal preference is to have stop on collision set to on for others and off for trains and DVRT vehicles. The strength at which that impact occurs can be also governed here. Now we're in a truck at this stage. At the moment it's set to 0.7. Let's crank it right up. And this of course only applies to when stop on collision is off. Now let's hit our train, and as you can see it's a reasonably violent impact. Let's go again. So you can adjust that to be whatever you like for the type of vehicle that you're currently driving. Okay, volume controls for the engine. And the horn volumes are available and adjustable here as well. The next section under vehicle performance again is split between cars, trucks and buses. Now if something is not obviously a car or a bus, consider it to be regarded as a truck by the mod. And you can see for cars, trucks and buses we can adjust the acceleration, the turning rate and the maximum speed in which they're allowed to travel. The last section under settings are all of the different keybinds for driving controls. That is, we can adjust the keybinds for our movements, forward, backward, left and right, for activating the horns or the headlights, or even the individual camera views and adjustments can be changed here. Do notice also that there is this setting here, reverse left right keys in reverse. So currently if that is off and you're reversing and you press your right arrow key, then the front of the vehicle swings to the right. If you prefer, you can activate this. There it is. Reverse left to right settings in reverse, and now as you reverse, if you press the right arrow key, the front of the vehicle swings to the left. The EV drive will retain the position that you left each vehicle. If you've driven it and you exit, then even if you teleport away, or fast travel as we should say, and come back, you'll find the vehicle is exactly where you left it. So let's have a quick look at that. We're going to fast travel to IMW. And once we reach there, we're now going to teleport, fast travel back to Harbour Town. Here we are, night time's fallen, Derail Valley. But when we look around, hey, our forklift is exactly where we left it. But one thing you will notice is that even though we borrowed the forklift, it looks like the insurance company has already come and replaced the original forklift that we borrowed. So be aware that persistence is only available within that particular game session. And once you exit that session, that is, go back to the main menu, or you exit Derail Valley and come back in again, your vehicles will no longer be where you left them, but they'll be back in their original locations only, ready for you to steal, ready for you to borrow them once more. So there you have it, guys. That's a DV drive for Derail Valley, a new mod by GrandpaPlayingGames. It's one of many mods that we've been producing recently to try to bring extra life into Derail Valley. And if you've been enjoying the mods or you enjoyed this video, please do give this video a like. Feel free to subscribe to our channel, it's free. And do also please consider perhaps buying me a coffee to help support our development efforts in the future for Derail Valley and other games that you may enjoy. In the meantime, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.